y'all? It is DCTF quote-unquote live, episode number 38. Oh, no, I don't have the baseball numbers up. It is Thursday, December 10th, 2015. My name is Greg Tepper, managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for joining or spending part of your day with us either online. We realize we're having some streaming issues, so you may be watching this later, or on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes. I know you guys were waiting, so here you go. Episode number 38 is the, let's go with Ruben Mateo episode, or the Craig McMurtry episode. My name is Greg Tepper. He's Max Thompson. Hey, Max.
Hi, Greg.
How's it going?
I'm a little frustrated right now with our technical issues.
Yeah, I think it's I hate to say bad things about our friends at YouTube, but
it's YouTube or live stream.
I think
one
it's
or the
a
other.
YouTube problem. I hate to say it. Anyway, thank you for spending part of your day with us.
Yeah.
We're talking high school and college football across the state every day here at noon on TexasFootball.com/live. Let me tell you something.
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure if you know this.
I probably do.
Cereal's back.
Oh, who cares?
Do you see that?
Yeah, no one cares.
Dude, yes, they do. It's the best podcast going.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
You didn't listen to Serial?
It's fine.
You did or did not listen to
I
Serial?
did. It's fine.
You did?
It's fine.
You didn't like it?
I guess I'm just not white enough.
I don't think it has to do with a white thing.
I think there's some people that disagree with that.
I think that... do you think that only white people listen to our podcast?
No, definitely. We are not... I mean, we are the whitest guys you know. But I don't think this podcast is particularly vanilla.
So you're saying that podcasts are not necessarily only a white person thing?
I just think Serial is one of those things that would end up on that website, things white people like.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because it's really good?
Sure, I guess.
Did you not like it?
I thought it was fine.
What's your deal?
I thought it was fine. I think it's a weird sort of...
I think it's an interesting...
journotainment.
See, I think it's an interesting idea.
Okay.
The idea of doing a kind of 60 minutes style story cast over a number of episodes. I think that's an interesting shift in the dynamic of the way that we consume media. Don't you think?
Sure.
You didn't listen to it, did you?
No, I did.
No, you didn't listen to it.
Here's my whole thing with it, I think, is... I appreciate her.
You trying to be like a double hipster here?
I appreciate her coming forward and being like honest about the emotional sort of connection she developed with him.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't care.
Well, see, that's the problem.
Like the human element of that whole thing. That's not. I don't know. If you want to be entertained, I guess. I don't know.
You're double hipstering on us, is what you're doing. Not like it's a hipster
more
thing
of
to be into cereal. And
I don't know. It's something I could have read about really quickly.
The only way that you could do it, but it was presented in a way.
I thought it was fine. I'm just not gonna be like, oh my God, cereal. Unless we're talking about Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which I would totally get that excited
Double
about.
hipster Max Thompson over there.
Yeah.
We have a fun show today, even though you cannot watch us live. We're very sorry about that. We are working with our friends at YouTube and Livestream to make sure that this never happens again. It will almost certainly happen again. It's just bound to happen.
Probably.
A little later, we're going to be joined by Corbett Smith, the Corbs of the Dallas Morning News, talking some DFW area high school football playoffs. Some news to break. That there are...
Break to our audience later.
Yeah. There are games being moved, by the way. Apparently big weather is going to roll through Central Texas at some point Saturday. And so I believe Allen and Westlake, which was scheduled to be played at 1 o'clock or Saturday afternoon, is now being moved to Friday night. So check TexasFootball.com. We'll have an updated schedule there. So we're going to be talking with Corbett Smith about that and many other sundry things across the DFW Metroplex. But for now, one thing that is up on the site that you can watch is Fixin' to Pick'em, our wildly popular,
extremely controversial
high school football predictions video.
Yeah.
It is the state semifinals, and so we go through and we break down and analyze and pick every single game. And I've mentioned this before, that I think that the way that we do the video and just the nature of the beast is that it's going to seem like every pick that I'm making, I'm like super confident in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
I get it, yeah.
Like last week.
It does come across that way a little
Like
bit.
last week, I made great pains to make sure that everyone knew that I was going out on a limb by picking Teague to pick Cameron Yeo, to beat Cameron Yeo.
Right.
And yet, it seems like, I don't think that comes across. I think they just
Right.
go, oh, he's picking against Cameron Yeo. That means he clearly does not think Cameron Yeo's very good.
He's very good.
And
They're clearly going to lose.
And that's not
it's
at all
never
the
anyone
case.
is clearly going to do anything.
No, and especially, look, there are games, I'll be real with you, as somebody who watches high school football for a living and covers it,
Yeah.
there are games during the regular season that I'm 1,000% confident I know how they're going to go.
Yeah.
Okay? When you've got a team that's one of the best teams in the state playing a team that's 0-8, I know which way that's going to go.
And earlier in the playoffs, there are still a few of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a couple. But now that we're here at this point in the
Right.
playoffs, every game's close.
Yeah.
There are no teams that I'm like, ooh, wow, they're going to get rolled.
Yeah.
Like, there's no teams that I would predict to be rolled. Now, the odds are somebody is going to get rolled.
Yeah.
Somebody across the state's going to lose by 40. That's just the odds of it. I don't know who it is, but it's going to happen, and it's probably going to be a shock to us. But I went through and I picked out, to give a little more context on my picks. You can watch it at TexasFootball.com. You can watch our picks. But these were, for me,
The toughest.
the 3 toughest games to call. Okay?
Number 1.
We start with a game that you and I disagree on.
Completely.
And so I think that's the perfect example
Yeah.
of a too close to call game, right?
For sure.
Alito and Mansfield Lakeridge.
Yeah.
And part of this is that you have this love affair with Mansfield Lakeridge.
I like how gutsy and just sort of
Progressive,
caution to the wind,
new
the way the
agey.
offense is.
Sure.
And I think they have the best 1-2 punch playmaker-wise on offense of any team in the state.
That might be true.
With Jet Duffy and Duke Carter. Also the best 1-2 name combination as
And
well.
so I like...
Lots of things going
Sure.
for Lakeridge.
And I like Alito because I think they're a more complete team. The Lakeridge defense still scares me, and I think
Sure.
that at some point, if you have a weakness, great teams expose it.
Yeah.
And I think that Alito is a complete team defensively, offensively, and special teams that can beat Mansfield Lakeridge. But I also would not be surprised if we're in here on Monday breaking down a Mansfield Lakeridge 5A Division I state championship game. You know what I mean? Like I think that this is a very
It's that close.
it's a very tough game to call, and I think there are reasonable arguments on both sides.
And to be fair, I mean, obviously, all due respect to Alito, incredible program, right? But at the minute you just assume, and this is my sort of counter argument with them, the minute you just assume they're going to be great every year is the minute you kind of stop really looking at games. And this is a prove-it game for them, for me, because I still don't think they have beaten a top-tier level team this year. And if they do, okay,
That's fine.
then Alito is Alito, like they always are.
The second one for me is it was one of our feature games on Fixing the Pick'em was Salina and Gilmer.
And you're already getting heat for it.
I'm already getting kind of heat, although the Gilmer fans have been like, well, he makes good points, I just don't like his pick. Which is, it's fine.
That's fair.
But I think that that's the way you have to approach this game, is that you look at Gilmer and, first of all, from a pedigree perspective, it's pretty much even. It's about as even as you're going to get. You got
no
Gilmer,
question.
who's the defending champs and who has a tradition all their own. You have Salina, one of the most decorated programs in the state.
Yeah.
2 teams that know how to win on these big stages. To me, this one, the tiebreaker on this Salina-Gilmer game was the defense. And I think that Salina's defense has been so good all year long, and they've run through a gauntlet. They've beaten Crum twice.
They've beaten great teams.
They've beaten Argyle.
Handily.
They beat Argyle, Liberty Christian. And then you look at Gilmer, and they've beaten some good teams. They beat They beat Liberty Ilo.
Yeah.
A team that you and I really like. That win over Center a couple weeks ago was really
Very
impressive.
Very impressive. Atlanta,
they
good
have
team.
but they have tended to win close. Like
for
they've
sure.
been by the skin of their teeth. Now, is that an advantage in a one-game scenario? Maybe.
Possibly.
If it
That's
comes
a great
down,
point.
if it comes down to one play, then one of these teams
Is
has
used to be in that position.
has a lot of experience in making that
No
one
question.
play. I think it's a close game. Again, it's the kind of game where it's basically a coin flip between Salina and Gilmer. I think Salina, the way and the fact that Gilmer's been turning the ball over in bunches, that scares me a little bit.
Sure.
That's why I lean
think
towards
that's fair.
Salina. But I think that there are, again, completely reasonable arguments on the other side. And then the other one, which I think I made perfectly clear in the video that I was agonizing over, is Franklin and East Bernard down in 3A Division 2. And let me kind of clarify everything. I think both of these teams, this is a case where these are two teams that I not only think are great, but I also have really enjoyed watching and breaking down and following. These are two teams that I really enjoy the style of play. Yeah. I like the playmakers that they have. With East Bernard's slot T offense, going up against Franklin and Will Phillips, one of my favorite players in the state, the linebacker for Franklin. It's just a tough game to call because I think that these are two very evenly matched teams. If you're looking for an advantage, first of all, Franklin giving up 50 points to Crockett last week is a little scary.
Yeah.
A little scary.
Scary.
And now they're going up against an East Bernard defense that's playing very well. And we mentioned this in a couple other games, particularly when you look at, Ridgepoint, or was it? Ridgepoint, where they run the kind of wing T, or the
Angleton.
Angleton is
yes.
it? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Angleton, where they run that kind of wing T, and East Bernard runs that slot T. You saw them win a state championship with Ty Slanina a couple of years ago, and I think that's hard to game plan for in 1 week.
For sure.
And so I think that's where East Bernard has the very slightest edge. But I honestly, I have no idea. Honestly, I really don't. I have no feel for this game at all. I think that it's going to be great. I think that I would be surprised if it's decided by more than about 10 points. Right. I think it's going to be very close. But
for sure, I'm
picking East Bernard based on the scheme. That's basically it. But I think it should be a fun game. I think most of the games are too close to call. We'll get to tomorrow. We'll get to games that we think would be upsets. There are, I think, even though if you're at this point, the quote is there are no turkeys left after Thanksgiving, except the gobblers. But there are a couple teams that I think are pretty clear favorites in their semifinals. Yeah. That's not to say that they are going to walk over whoever. Right. It's not like they're playing some 0-8 team. Yeah. But they look like they're clear favorites, and we'll get to those
for sure
tomorrow on DCTF Live. Before we get to Corbett Smith, and hold on. Let me do this on the air. Do you have Corbett Smith's number?
Yeah.
Do you need it? Okay.
I should still have it in my phone.
Okay, that's fine. I wanted to make sure. Yeah. While we're doing that, let me take care of a little bit of business. Hey, do you want to stay where Greg Tepper and Max Thompson are going to stay in Houston? Are you going to state title games? You need a hotel room? Well, then maybe when you make your plan for the state championship games, check out Houston Hyatt Regency. They're offering special rates. That's right. If you're a team and you make it to NRG Stadium, $119 a night for a room. In downtown Houston, that is about as good a deal as you're going to find. And then if you're a fan, just a discounted rate of $129 per night. Not too shabby. Expect to be pampered at the finest contemporary hotel in downtown Houston as you get ready to dominate at NRG Stadium. That's the number to book, 1-888-421-1442. It's the Houston Hyatt Regency. Max and I will be staying there. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. Max has said that we're going to get turnt. I don't know what turnt means, Max.
Don't lie, Greg.
But you said we're going to get turnt.
Okay. I am giving everyone your room number.
One guy who is...
Do we know where he's staying?
One guy who is no stranger to getting turnt is Corbett Smith, the esteemed writer for the Dallas Morning News. Corbett...
So if you don't know what it means, how do you describe it as, something that I do on a regular basis?
I just assume that you are somebody who enjoys whatever getting turnt is.
I'm so turned that I'll be staying with my sister.
Wow!
For the state championship weekend.
Oh
Boom.
My gosh!
Man.
That is about as I think that's what turnt means.
That's probably what it means.
That's peak.
I think that's the antithesis of turnt.
That's peak. That is peak turnt is what that is. Dallas Morning News writer Corbett Smith joining us here on DCTF Live. Per usual, Corbett, a lot of teams in the DFW area that have made it to the state semifinals. For you, as a guy who has followed all these teams all year long, are there one or two teams that you're particularly surprised have made it this far?
I'd have to say Mansfield. I think most people coming into the season would have pegged Cedar Hill in their place, but the way that they played during 8-6 they play really kind of set them apart. They were incredible, beating DeSoto, beating Cedar Hill. to get into the playoffs. And then they've had a tough playoff run. When you look at the teams that they've beaten some pretty salty teams. But having to start the playoffs with Flower Mound Market and last round beating the Denton Gower team very soundly. I'm a little bit surprised by them, and I think everybody's surprised by Frisco. A Frisco Lone Star team that finished 7-3 last year, missed the playoffs. There still is that feeling that maybe Frisco just can't get it done on a statewide level, and they've certainly shown themselves more than up to this task.
I want to start there. That game, Frisco Lone Star taking on Lake Dallas, 7:30 p.m. Friday night in Allen. Two great quarterbacks in this one between Dagan Hain for Lake Dallas, Jason Shelley for Frisco Lone Star. When you look at this game, when you break it down, do you see any sort of clear advantage that either team has in this one?
I mean, I think Lone Star, if you look at their body of work, Lone Star has gone through a tougher task to get to this point. I think they've proven themselves. That last win against what I thought was a really good Lancaster team, that really opened my eyes as to how well they can play. And I saw them against Marshall, a team that was loaded with athletes. They just ran them off the field. I think that they've got more explosiveness. They've got good size, adequate size up front on both sides of the ball. And I think Shelley's a little bit better runner than Hain is at this point. Hain's coming off an ACL injury over the spring. It'll be a shootout. Whoever can make stops, will win this game. But right now, I'm leaning towards Lone Star by probably 2 scores.
That's interesting. I know that's one that we've kind of batted back and forth around here at the office. Lake Dallas looks like a team that seems to be hitting their stride, and that win over Everman last week was certainly gutsy. But I tend to agree with you. I think that Frisco Lone Star is probably the favorite to come out of that. Meanwhile, another DFW versus DFW area clash, if you want to kind of use the DFW area broadly, which I know that folks around the state are so very fond of. 7:30 p.m. Friday in Birdville, a game that Max and I straight up disagree on.
Oh, yeah, maybe he can settle
this. So it's Alito looking for their 6th title in 7 years, going up against Mansfield Lakeridge. Max is banging the Kirk Thor drum. He's got his Kirk Thor little pom-poms out. Mm-hmm. I'm riding with Alito, so break the tie for us, Corbett.
I'm going to probably pick Lakeridge. I haven't picked them yet, but I'm leaning towards picking Lakeridge. Alito's always the safe choice. They've got a great defense. Dylan Davis, at quarterback, is solid. They've got 2,000-yard rushers. They're certainly the team that you would expect Alito to put out there. But there's something about this Lakeridge team, and frankly, I'm not impressed when you get out of the Region 1 playoffs in 5A. It sounds bad, but it doesn't wow me that Lake Dallas and Alito are to this point. When I looked at the teams that were there, they're just not the quality of teams that you would find in Division II. So to get to this point, I think the teams like Lakeridge and Lone Star have played tougher opponents and been in harder games to get here. So I could see leaning Lakeridge. Jet Duffy's is as good a high school quarterback as you'll find. They've got a great running back in Duke Carter. They've got a good defense. They've got a great linebacker, a junior linebacker, Lauren Mondi. They're talented, up and down that team. It's not like they're lacking in stars. I think that's the game that I'm looking forward to the most of all this weekend's games. I think it's going to be the closest one, and certainly the one that I'll keep my eye on.
Yeah, we just ran through 3 games that we thought were the closest to call. That was first, and then Salina Gilmer, and then Franklin East Bernard.
Hold on, Salina Gilmer.
Yeah,
that's the closest to call.
You think it's too? You think there's a clear favorite here?
I saw Salina Gilmer last year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
that's all I need to say. Gilmer was 69-14.
Yeah,
and it was overwhelmingly, Gilmer in that game.
But
I have a ton of respect for what Bill Elliott's done, and they've had a great season, but they're going to have to play lights out to keep with Gilmer. I would not take that as one of the games to watch.
Man, well, you know why it's close to call? Because I picked Salina.
Man, you're loving it.
I
mean, Salina's got all the tradition in the world. They got a great running back. They got a good quarterback.
And they have thumped
and they have that
everyone.
big win over Argyle. I mean, that win over Argyle legitimized themselves. But in my eyes. I mean, they're certainly among the top 5 teams in the state, without a doubt. But Gilmer has really kind of set itself, head and shoulders above the rest of that classification. And they just took it to them last year. It was as bad as the score indicates, and maybe even a little worse. And that was a Salina team that had a seasoned quarterback, and a lot of these players still on that team. A quarterback who went to North Carolina. I know Gilmer graduated a lot, but I think they've got a good bit of guys back from that team.
Does it not worry you at all how close so many of their games have been this year?
Gilmer, that is.
Gilmer.
I mean, I haven't really kept a close eye on Gilmer. I know that they beat Atlanta last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Atlanta is one of those teams that's always been there. I saw Atlanta play Sealy in the state championships in the Astrodome, to date myself, way back when. They've always had great kids come through there. Yeah, I think Gilmer's just the East Texas is tough, especially in Class 4A. I mean, when you look at the quality of teams throughout there, you see what Carthage did against Navasota. East Texas is East Texas when you talk Class 4A Division 1 and 2.
Do you want to make a beard bet?
No one wants to see you with a beard.
Yeah. No.
So you have to grow a beard, or I have to shave my beard?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I'd love to see you with a beard.
I would.
That makes one of us. Okay.
The only thing that really is a drawback is that the world, the Texas high school football world, won't see you with that beard. You'll just have that beard just tucking around it. If you started growing that beard and went all the way through the summer into the next year's Fox lineup, then absolutely, I'll take that bet every day of the week.
Then it might look like a beard by then. We're talking.
No, I'm thinking it'd be like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, like real awesome mountain man beard. You just never let it go. You just never let it. You never tried it.
It's Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News joining us on DCTF Live. You mentioned Mansfield, and I know that there's some kind of talk about games being moved from Saturday in Central Texas. I know that Allen's game against Westlake, which we'll get to in a moment, has already been moved, but this one has not been moved. 2 p.m. Saturday at Waco ISD Stadium. When this game came out, when the pairing got set, I texted Max and I told him I think this game is going to be an absolute war. Do you? Lake Travis is probably the favorite here, but you could see Mansfield winning this game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mansfield's rolling right now. I think Lake Travis, if you look at their body of work, they're probably the better team. What they did to Waco Midway twice is pretty impressive. I mean, Mansfield is not the same Mansfield as when they played them earlier in the season. Mansfield ended up playing Midway and beating them by a point in a shootout, 44-43, I believe. But they're a much better team at this point in the year than they were early when they picked up losses, and they lost to Summit. I mean, they lost to a team in 5A. But yeah, I mean, I think that the way that they're playing now, the confidence they have in their passing game, they can throw the ball a little bit. They've got a dynamic player in Saeed Adebo. They got several good receivers, but Saeed Adebo is a two-way star, and will be a big-time Division I recruit. He's just a junior, and Kennedy Brooks and that offensive line have been absolutely rolling. So if it's in sloppy conditions and Lake Travis struggles to throw the ball a little bit, then yeah, without a doubt, I think that Mansfield can certainly take that game and move on.
And then there's the other game, Allen, the other 6A game rather. Allen takes on Austin Westlake. That game's been moved 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Waco ISD Stadium. I imagine you're picking Allen like I am, but is there any reason to think that there are, any holes in the armor here?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, the way that they've just they've rolled with all the punches this year. I thought that the quarterback controversy was going to be a thing. It's not. You look the way that Mitchell Junkies played. He's been, not Kyler Murray-esque, but he's been really good. And you look at what he's done with that offense. He's gotten his ball to playmakers. They've got probably more offensive depth than they had last year. A guy like Kerry Hall, who they really relied on last year, as a receiver. He's their third leading receiver right now. They've got a couple of guys in front of them. They've got a transfer from Parish Episcopal, Kirby Bennett, at running back, who's a hoss. and that defense is probably the best one in the state, save for Katy. It's a loaded squad, and Westlake's going to have to play out of their minds. I talked to Todd Dodge this week, first story that I did for the Morning News, and he said pretty much that. They've got a 57-game winning streak. We're going to have to play well in this, and this to be in the game, and I think he's right.
He is Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News. He has a tremendous beard, and he has a good Twitter account at Corbett.
I have a terrible beard, but a good Twitter account.
At Corbett Smith DM. And which game are you going to this week, or what games?
Well, I was going to go to Allen and Westlake to be able to cover that, but since it's been moved to Friday, we're still doing our TV show, Sports Day HS, on Fox Sports Southwest,
right.
11 to 12 on Fox Sports Southwest and 1310-967 FM Ticket. So I guess I'm going to be covering the Mansfield game and Lake Travis. It has not been decided. It's TBD at this point.
Man, you realize that his TV show has gone on longer than mine?
Yeah. Well, that's called commitment. Some people aren't as much of a slacker as you.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't know why you can't just vamp for 6 hours.
I already do it for. Yeah. I do it for 14 weeks.
That's
I don't know what 2 more weeks is. I just don't understand it. He's Corbett Smith. Follow him on Twitter at Corbett Smith DMN. Thanks, Corbett.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes, Corbett Smith, Dallas Morning News. Man, that's weird. He's really high on Gilmer. I mean, I think it is not weird. Not that I'm not high on Gilmer, but man, to say that there's a clear favorite in this one, I think is a bit bold. What? I know what he's saying.
I know where he's coming from, because definitely. Here's the thing: if you had come to me 4 weeks ago and said, call this, look, I was thinking about 69-14. I was. Mm-hmm. But I just think the two teams have changed a lot.
Yeah.
Different quarterbacks, different kinds of schedules. Mm-hmm. Maybe we find out this week that Argyle isn't as good as we thought, but if they are, what Salina did to them was impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
they
didn't. I mean, when you go back, and I know that this was a while ago. I know, save your emails. I know that it was a while ago, but what they did to Argyle, what they did, beating them by 10 points, hanging 46 points on them on a very solid defense. And by the way, that 36 points is the most they've given up all year.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Gilmer gave up 36 points to Pleasant Grove in their opener.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying I think it's a close game.
I think a lot's changed.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. From last year to this year, I think a lot has changed.
That's interesting, though, that he feels so strongly about it.
Yeah, that is. Well, thank you for tuning in to DCTF Live. I know that we weren't live, quote unquote. We're very sorry about that. We're working on fixing our streaming issues. They should be up and rolling for tomorrow, when we're going to have another big show. We're going to talk about potential high school football upsets. We're going to preview the 6-man state championship games with Granger Huntress. Should be fun. A lot of other fun stuff here, so make sure you're by the channel tomorrow at noon, texasfootball.com/live. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy, and we will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.